Welcome to another session in Spreadsheets Microsoft Excel with Mr. TJ Zenda here, and today we are going to make use of the text join function. So here is my text join function on top of my spreadsheet here. Okay, so you need to know that text join function in Excel combines text from multiple cells or ranges into one single cell, automatically separating them with a designated character like a comma or space or whatever character that you want to make use of. So it is a powerful, flexible upgrade to older methods like concatenate because it accepts cell ranges and can automatically skip empty cells. Okay. Now I'm going to explain how it is going to skip those empty cells. Okay. But let's start with our delimiter here. The delimiter, what it does, what is it all about? So the delimiter there, it is the character or space placed between the text values or the cells, right? And it must be enclosed in quotation marks. Make sure that it's closed in quotation marks. I'm going to give you an example of that. The second part of our text join function is the ignore empty. Now we have two things here that we're going to talk about, the true part and the false part. So the ignore empty, it's a logical value. So you can use true if you want to skip any empty cells in that given cell range, and use false if you want to include empty cells in the given cell range. Okay, your text 1, text 2, text 3, now these are specific cells or ranges of text that you want to combine. Okay, now let's start. Now from this part of this spreadsheet, now we are given student name and student surname, and we want to combine them into one cell. We want to combine them into one cell to get the full name. So I'm going to make use of the text join function. Like always, when you want to trigger a function in Excel, you insert the equal sign. So here's my equal sign. I type in text join, and here's my text join that is popping up. I double click on my text join. Okay, now it starts by showing me its structure here, and it's showing me that the first thing that I need to do is to insert the delimiter. Now how do I want to space the first name with the surname? So what I want them to be separated by a space bar. So I open my quotation marks followed by a space bar on my keyboard, then I close it. Okay, now the next thing, do I want to include empty cells? Can you see here? True, ignore empty cells. False, include empty cells. So I don't want to include empty cells here, so I'm going to enter true value here. Okay, now the last thing is the text one. Which cells do I want to combine? I want the first name followed by the surname. So I'm going to start with the first name, then followed by the surname from A4 to B4. Then I close my bracket there, and then I press enter. Okay, can you see? Look up, and then there's a space there. Okay, followed by the surname. Let me go back to the same cell there. Now I want to apply this formula to the following cells for other students. So I drag my mouse there to the far bottom corner here. Can you see that it's whitish? But as I go to the far bottom corner of this cell, it changes its color to black. Then from there, I press my left key there, drag it down. I'm applying the formula to all the learners that I have in this class. Okay. Yes. So it's applied. You can see that up to the last learner here, Karen. Okay. It has been applied. So we have used our delimiter space character there. Okay, so that's our first part. Now let me go to the second part of our comma separated values, CSV. Now in this case, we want to make use of another delimiter. We want to use a comma. Okay, we want to use a comma. I'm going to remove this one. Okay, so I'm going to put equal sign to trigger my text join function. Text join, double click on text join, Then delimiter, it's a comma there. So inside quotation marks followed by a comma, because I want these numbers to be separated by a comma. Then enclose the comma there. Now in this case, let's make use of the false part. We want to include empty cells. Can you see that we have an empty cell here? We want to include it, and we want to see how it is going to look like. So I'm going to take the false. Okay, now which cells do I want to include? So I want to include all the marks, that is mark 1, mark 2, and mark 3. So from this cell, D4 followed by E4 and followed by F4. Then I close my bracket. Okay, can you see? We now have two numbers here because the other number is empty, right? We have an empty cell, but in the middle of these numbers we have two commas, right? We have two commas because between those two commas it's an empty cell, because we said to our Excel we want to include, if you look in our formula tab here, we want to include the empty cells. That's why we have selected false. Okay, so it's including all the empty cells. That's why we see two commas in the middle there. Okay, so I'm going to drag down to apply the same formula to all the other learners within the given range. Okay, done. Now the last thing that we want to do is we want to use plus as a delimiter. Plus sign as a delimiter. We want to use plus sign as a delimiter in this cell range. Now we want to add, maybe we want to add the following marks for the learners: mark 1, mark 2, mark 3. Okay, and let's use plus sign as the delimiter. Okay, so text join function equal sign to trigger that function. Text join, double click on text join. Right, in this case we want to apply the plus, so I open my quotation marks, then enter plus there, then enclose quotation marks. Now in this case we do not want to ignore the empty, we want to ignore the empty cells. Okay, let's ignore the empty cells. Okay, then followed by the cell range. Okay, so it's from this part up to this part, and then I close my bracket and then I press enter. Okay, can you see 20 plus 19? Okay, let's apply this formula to other learners as well. I'm going to drag down. Okay, this is the plus delimiter. Plus is the character, it's the delimiter that is separating the cells in the cell given range. Okay, please let me know if you have any questions in the comment section, or you've got something that you want to add to this session. Please let me know so that I can improve in the next session. Thank you very much for following these sessions. Please do not forget to subscribe. See you in the next session. Thank you.